So the government is shut down, and we are about to default on the debt ceiling. How did we get here? So folks, it's time for a little history lesson. For about 70 or 80 years, Democrats, liberals, progressives, moderates in this country advocated for national health care. They wanted a single-payer health care plan, the way most other capitalistic democracies have had for decades. President Obama ran on the platform of trying to get national health care through. Once he got into office, he said, might not have enough votes to get what Democrats want. Let me compromise. What other ideas are out there? So he looked around, and there was this idea that was born in the Heritage Foundation, the conservative think tank. It was endorsed by every prominent conservative thinker, intellectual, politician, and it had actually been tested in the marketplace of ideas, the laboratory of democracy in one of the states. A Republican governor, a big businessman governor in the state of Massachusetts, took this Heritage Foundation healthcare plan that involved using private insurance companies, setting up private exchanges, and it was considered a huge success. In fact, this Republican governor ran for president in part on the basis of how successful his ideas were. This bill was passed into law. Now, once he tried to push this, once Obama endorsed it as his own law, every single Republican who said they were for it now suddenly was against it. The only thing that was different is that Obama now endorsed it. That led many to believe, myself included, that the entire Republican establishment was simply insincere. That they're not really opposed to this form of health care. They just didn't want Obama getting the credit. So that's the history there. Now it's become such an obsession. So this very idea that Republicans said was so good for 20 years, so much better to what evil, leftist, socialist Democrats want. This very idea of healthcare reform using private insurance companies that every single Republican so thoroughly endorsed was now rewritten into history as the most evil, socialistic, communistic plot to overthrow our nation. Simply because Obama had endorsed it. Well, it became law. The House passed it, the Senate passed it, the President signed it into law. It was challenged to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found it constitutional. The U.S. House has tried 42 times to vote against it, to repeal it. It has lost every single time. So now we have a situation where the Republicans are so consumed with this hatred, this vitriol, this extremism, this nihilism, that they have convinced themselves that this very idea that they endorsed for 2 decades is the single most evil idea in the history of the world. That nothing else matters. If they have to destroy the government, if they have to destroy the entire world economy, if they have to destroy the planet as they know it, they're more than willing to do that just because they hate Obamacare, meaning they hate their own ideas so much. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is not politics as usual. This is not a pox on both their houses. This is absolute, utter insanity. And that's the history lesson for today.